So let's talk about the finals and clutchness. I've been thinking for the past few days, and honestly, when it comes to these finals, I don't know what's going to happen. The reason why is because I've been having a lot of thoughts on is Dallas going to win or are Boston going to win? I obviously made the two videos about the individual rosters and what that entails for each one, but when it comes to them as teams and as superstars, I feel like there's a big difference between Boston and Dallas, which needs to be addressed. First, I do want to say these are two great teams. They made the finals. They're obviously the best teams in the world. But when we look at them individually, going into a series, what are the things that are we supposed to expect from this series, and what are the things that could play the part in winning the series for one squad or losing the series is for the other squad. And I believe that these two teams, in terms of the superstars, have completely different guys. First, for the Mavericks, they have two guys which are proven. And I don't mean that in the sense that the Celtics guys aren't. They've made it to the finals twice, conference finals 5 times. So if we're being 1,000% honest, those guys have some experience. But they do not have nearly the experience that the Mavericks have. If we're being 1,000% honest, they honestly have a much better chance at making themselves a threat in the clutch than many other teams in the NBA. Like the Dallas Mavericks have Luka and Kyrie historically, not even just this season, not even in talking out of like bias, because as like I've said it every video, like I want Dallas to win just because obviously I'm a Heat fan. So, and I also like Luka's legacy much more and I think that he deserves a championship the most, but the best man always wins, and whoever wins is who wins. But I do think that, with bias aside, when it comes to a very like consistent player, there's nobody better than Luka and Kyrie. Like, look, Jaylen Brown is consistent, but there are times where he just does not come up. And I do think that he's been way more consistent than Tatum. That's why he gets normally the praise for what he's doing. But he is not consistent enough to be a championship number one. So the championship number one is supposed to be Tatum. But Tatum in close games has known to choke. And unless he becomes prime Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, or Michael Jordan, I doubt that he will be able to win in crunch time. Also, a lot of people are going to talk about, but why do you talk about like crunch time so much and closeness when these teams are teams which are probably going to be blowing each other out, or at least it seems that way. The way that people are talking about the series, people who think Dallas is going to win think that Dallas is going to dog walk the Celtics, and people who think the Celtics are going to win think that the Celtics are just going to dog walk Dallas. But I do think it's going to be a closer series than most people anticipate. I think that both of these teams are ready. I think that they both have defense, they both have offense, they both have consistency, and they both have an it factor, which I honestly can't put my finger on. For the Celtics, I feel like that it factor has been Derek White, where Derek White has consistently shown that he will not give up until the game is either won or lost or they sub him out. But I do believe that that player can be a real game changer this series, having players which are maybe not the most known in terms of name, but in terms of presence, you can feel Derek White's presence. And that's where I feel like the Celtics do have some advantage. The Celtics look on paper much better, right? And yes, I do believe that the order for best players is Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving. But then the rest, like the next 6 guys, are Celtics dudes. It's if we were ranking the best players in the series, it would be Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, then Jaylen Brown, right? And then you start Derek White probably, or Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and those three guys. That's already three. So you're telling me that out of the seven, so I feel like changing the subject now. Well, not changing it, but like speaking on a new part of the subject. I do believe that the Celtics are probably favored in terms of just depth. And I think that that has a lot to do. Look, I don't know how Al Horford is going to perform in the 2022 finals. He was actually good. So I do believe that there is some merit to that. And on the other hand, I don't know how the guys on the bottom of the bench are going to perform because there is no guarantee for that. But what I do know is that the Celtics have some guys which, when they were here last time, they played great. Al Horford, right? They have Payne Pritchard, which actually played really well, apart from the shot chucking. But he was played a very minimal amount of minutes in the last time they went to the finals. And he actually didn't play terribly. His splits were terrible. But, you know, that's just, it is what it is, right? We got to see certain guys like Derek White, which actually shot pretty well from three. And the biggest thing is, like, can Boston close out this series? Or can Dallas guard Boston enough? Guarding Boston and guarding Dallas are two nightmares. They're both very high-level three-point shooting teams. They're both teams which include a lot of dynamic offense and a lot of different types of offense that can be generated. And they're both teams which have similarities and differences which set them apart to the highest degree. Like, Dallas is very good, but Dallas does not have the amount of star power that the Celtics have. And that's just the reality. When it comes to Boston, Boston is very good, but Boston does not have the star power that Dallas has. I feel like the biggest thing for this series would be an injury. And that's where I feel like both of these teams have to look out. I do not want anybody to get injured, and I honestly pray that there is nobody who gets injured during this series. But when we look at the history, especially with the Celtics, they have an injury history which is long, right? The Mavericks, Luka normally doesn't get hurt during the playoffs, and even when he does, he'll normally play through it. And Kyrie is fine. He normally doesn't either, and when he did, it was because of some other reasons. For the Celtics, they have injury history, and it could really come back to bite them in the butt if they do not fix the history which they do have. I will say that Tatum and Brown are really consistent during the playoffs. Those guys do not miss games, and it's actually crazy how many playoff games they do not miss and how they're so healthy during the postseason. And in my opinion, that is probably the best skill that the Celtics have, just having their stars be healthy. But guys like Drew, guys like even the bench guys, Al Horford, Sam Hauser, maybe even Porzingis, but he's coming back from an injury. They have to watch out because injuries are likely. And as much as we don't like to talk about them, they are things that could happen, and we cannot guarantee that a player is just going to be healthy for the most intense 7 games or 4 games or 5 or whatever they're going to play of their career. I do think that now is a moment to really be able to take in both of these teams, and I do also believe that there is more to be said about these teams. Tomorrow is the first game, and I do want to make a video on JJ Redick being the coach of the Lakers, so I'm probably going to do that tomorrow before the finals start. And then I'm just gonna do the video after the day after, and I think I'm probably gonna do that. I really want to talk about that Lakers coach thing. I think it's kind of stupid, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. that's about as much as I could talk about the finals before I can actually see the games. So yeah, tomorrow, JJ Redick.